Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. I wasn't going to do any videoing today. I was going to take care of an old tree that I have, an old plant that I have. This is the oldest plant that I own that I've grown from seed. It's about 30 years old. I'll show it to you in a minute. My wife found some seeds on a rock in Palm Springs 30 years ago when she was out there visiting her parents and I was home working. And she knows that I like to grow seeds, so she brought them home with me, for me. And I planted it up, and 3 of them took. Only 1 survived, which is this one. And I'll tell you more about it when I show you the tree. So this monstrosity has been growing in a pot in our house like this. This was the soil line, so this ugly thing stuck up, and every time this palm sends up another frond, one of these, I end up cutting them off because they get all ravaged and broken. And I thought it would grow and be tall one day, but that was not in the cards. So it's been in a really heavy blue pot, a cylindrical pot about this high, heavy as can be, and as you can see, these roots were wrapping around. Now, I wasn't going to film today. I was just going to take care of this, but this is now kind of an interesting thing, and I'd like to explore it, maybe with some input from some of you out there. So here are my thoughts. It's never been in bonsai soil, which you can tell by these long roots. It hasn't had to subdivide much. But if I clean that up, and instead of being planted like this and falling over, and being planted something like this, and maybe being trained to curve upward, and maybe get some surface roots happening, this would then maybe color up to look like a trunk. I don't know. As I'm looking at this, it's still ugly, and I don't know what to make of it. Maybe it wants to go this way. And we see about getting these roots in this pot, doing some good old Nigel Saunders root work on this. This could be a surface root right here, going right down into the soil if I trim it there. This is underneath the soil, so I just have to shorten it and just take the bent part off. I could tuck that down. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it'll ever be a spectacular bonsai, but my God, it's better than it is. And I haven't wanted to throw this on the compost heap as many times as my wife has pointed out how ugly it is. I don't disagree. I don't know. What do you think? I'm going to call it a palm tree of some sort. Has anyone seen one? I haven't found one with exactly this type of frond. Every stage of development is shown here. Let me see if I can show them to you. This one is the oldest, and it's starting to get a little tattered. Then it sent up this one midsummer. It's a slow grower. And then it sent up this one, which hasn't even come out of its protective sleeve yet. And it was fixing to send up another one right in here. I don't think you can see this, but there's another frond down lower in here. So it's an interesting tree. this is the only pot I have that might be suitable for it, and I gotta reduce the size of the pot. Unfortunately, it doesn't reduce the footprint because I had it like this. The footprint now extends way beyond the pot. I'll just have to find a creative place to keep this. And as I said, I wasn't going to film this at all. So let me get ready to do the root work. And I'm going to channel Nigel the best I can. The first thing I want to do is reduce the size of this dragon over here. This thing. I don't know if you can see the segments. It is so weird. Anyway, I want to reduce that, and I'm going to do it at first to try not to lose any of the roots that are coming out of that. So what would be the best way to cut this? I'm just going to cut it straight. Using my ironwood pruners, because I don't know what I'm going to... that's not so bad. All right. So that's pruned to length. Now, the first root up. So where would the soil line be? The soil line is going to be, I kind of want this thing to be above the soil line, so I might have to carve that a little ways down. And then continue along with all of this white stuff being above. All right, so this first root, if it follows the soil line and then goes down into the soil, that's my thought. I'm going to prune it right there. Let me straighten that out. This second root, similar thing. It has two very long fibrous roots attached to it. If I try to save those and cut this here, I think I've done a lot. Here's a root that comes right down from the center and would really keep me from bottoming out in a shallower pot. But the pot I have in mind isn't all that shallow, and I think this tree might need some roots down below. So I'm going to cut them shorter, but I'm going to leave them. You know, I'm explaining my thought process. This one has no fibrous roots coming from it. So I'm just going to cut that one off. All right, so that's got, I really don't like that. Maybe I do want to encourage more outward root growth, and it seems like this would want to send out more roots there. Or if it sends out downward facing roots, that's okay too. I just messed up a fibrous root on this one. I'll try not to do any more of that. All right, moving on. Do I want that? Well, I probably don't want this, but that's a strong bit of root, and maybe if I cut it, maybe if I cut it just below the surface, it'll send out fresh roots from there. Let's see if I can shape this top a little better. All right. You know what? It only has 3 roots going out that way. I'm going to get rid of them all. This can be very shallow. I have 4 roots. This one's dead. It's like a tuber. This one's going up, so I don't want that. What a strange looking bulb. What kind of palm is this? That inquiry is going out to the world. All right, so here's some fibrous roots coming from very close. I'm going to take the heavy root off. All right. This one's good. It makes a turn, but that's okay because the turn goes a little bit up and down. I can probably tuck that into the soil. So I'm just going to pick up. I don't know what I just cut off. Let's see. Oh, I cut off a lot. That was the one that was circling the pot the most. All right. I've said this before, I'm squeamish. So, look at that. They mirror one another. This one went down and around. This one goes down and around. How funny. All right, so, but if I want to pick up fibrous roots on this, I got to leave that much on it. And that all heads up. And I blew it by hitting that root there. All right, my money is on this tree to recover and send out all new roots once it knows it's got good bonsai soil beneath it. This is not good. Every repot is an opportunity to do root work. I gotta shorten these. And this. I'm just holding that up there to see if you would have seen that. All right. I'm wondering if I should decapitate everything a little higher up this time. Everything old and just let the new, because there's 2 new fronds coming up. That's what I'm going to do when I plant this. All right. Let me get a pot ready, and I may do further pruning on this once it's in the pot. Let me clean up a little bit, and I'll be back at you. If there are any Luca fans out there, I have him in the shot on purpose. Since I've made the decision to cut 2 of these fronds off, I'm going to do that sooner rather than later. And let's see. I'm going to leave them to here for support. All right, that'll take care of the balance of this thing for now until the roots take hold. And I really think they will. All right, let me get a base layer of soil in here and we'll start planting. Should be wearing a mask. All right, so let's just start playing around with this. So that would go around front. This would go tucked in here. since it tends to want to circle anyway, I said I would try and nudge that down. This one, you know what, I am going to let this one be and just stuff it down there and hope it stays. Yeah, right. I think I may have to lose that one. What can I do? I'm going to cut it here. Try and tuck it down. That might stay. This one will stay. All right, that's all I can do. Let me plant this a little deeper, and that may be the end of this video, this unplanned video for today. I'm not expecting anyone to like this, but I hope you do because of its unusual characteristics. It is as ugly now as it was before. The only difference being, I think it's a little more interesting now. Not that I know what's going on under there. All right, let me mess with the placement a little bit. I said I wanted that little dragon thing to show. It now has a trunk, if you can call it that it's never had before. I did not start out the day thinking this is how it would go. Not at all. But I'm not unhappy with this. I do wish it wasn't quite as ugly. And as this dries out, I'm sure I can get rid of a little bit more of this. It kind of reminds me of fennel. Is fennel a palm? All right. Clean that little spot there so I can see that little herringbone pattern thing, whatever the hell it is. I guess it was another trunk. Don't remember. But grown from seed, 30 some odd years old, and this is what I got. Now, let me get it on a turntable and I'll water it up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my oldest tree grown from a seed, planted at a completely different angle, done completely unexpectedly today. Didn't know what to do with this tree. What did I accomplish? It's nowhere near as heavy as it was. And it's a little less ugly than it was, I think. Still pretty ugly. I don't know what to do about this stuff that's white, I think it's just going to flake off once it dries. It might as well be clean in the meantime. All right. The water's coming out clear now. It's a very, very odd addition to my collection. I've had it since it was a seed. Since it was a little seed. So, I'll keep you updated on this. Or tell me you never want to see it again in the comments. That'd be all right too. I have to look at it all the time. I don't think my wife is going to think it's any prettier in its new configuration. I'm not sure I think so either. All right, thank you very much for keeping me company in my backyard, even though this was an unexpected video. I'll be back tomorrow with more pruning of my tropicals, and I also want to prune my Rose of Sharon.